So I waited a couple of days because I didn't want to put this out there yesterday and put fuel in the fire and maybe give somebody some oxygen who's trying to get some publicity out of this. But we were swatted 2 nights ago at my house. Now, the good thing is I'm up until about 5 o'clock in the morning. This happened at 2:35 a.m. And we have cameras around the house. Some you can see, some you can't. So if you're a bad guy out there, you're not going to see where they all are. But we have cameras outside the house. And at 2:35 in the morning, I got an indication on my phone that there was some camera or there was some movement, some motion sensor at the front door. And I went, okay, that's weird. Maybe a bug. Who knows? Maybe the dogs had to go out. My wife took the dogs out. Nope. It was a guy holding an AR-15 with a cap on, looking in my window. Now, at that point, you say to yourself, well, I've got a rifle too. Can go grab that and go see what's what. I've got 5 other guns nearby. Grab some of them, go see what's what. And then, end up in a shootout at 2:35 in the morning in the middle of rural Texas. That's something that I don't think that I wanted to do immediately. So what happened was I had this level of calculation in my brain going about a million miles a second. And I said, okay, first thing I need to do, because when it's at night, the cameras are very good. They're color cameras, they're audio cameras. But at night, it goes to sort of a night vision view. So I can't tell if it's a police officer or not. I don't know who it is, but he looks a little bit nervous. But believe me, I've got a video of this guy with a rifle at my front door, like holding it, ready to use it. And I called 911. That was the right answer. And I said, this is my address. This is who I am. Radio, television, talk show host. So some would say public figure. I think I'm being swatted. Are you guys at my house? About 2 seconds later, she said, yes, we are. We got a report of this, and this. Dogs were shot. People were bleeding. People were hiding. And none of that was true. None of it true. Not a bit of it. So I said, none of that's happening. Please tell him to stand down. I'll come out with my hands up while I have you on the phone with me, and I'll explain what's going on. She said, okay, I haven't made contact with him yet. Don't go out yet. So then I walk out of my production studio, and I see in my backyard, you got 2 or 3 people with flashlights. So are you in my backyard too? Hold on. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, we're in the backyard. Okay. Give me the go. When he says he's good, when he's got that gun barrel down, I will come out. Waiting. Then she says, I still have the complainant on the line. I said, well, I'm at the address. Okay. So there is no complainant here. There is no distress here. There are no issues here. This is a swatting. If you don't know what that is, they send a tactical team to your house pretending there's an emergency because their hope is to either scare you on the low end, have you come out and confront the police officers and get killed, death by cop, or something else. It's a political message they're sending. They don't like that you're a conservative. They don't like that you're this, that, or the other. And again, I waited 2 days to do this because I think the bad guy probably would have tuned in yesterday to see, am I going to give, some oxygen and some gas to this? And the answer is no. So I waited. But again, this is not me jumping on any bandwagon. I wasn't going to publicize it at all, but all of these big people are, and I think that there's probably more power in putting the information out there. So once I got the okay, I walked out, and it's not one officer, it's not one deputy, it's 7. There are 7 deputies in like with tactical gear. All of them had a long gun, as they should. I'm not against that. I have one too. All of them nervous as hell. I get it. I understand. At 2:30 in the morning on a Tuesday or whatever it was, that's not something that you get a call like that. You're stressed out, and it's in an area of the world where things like this don't go on. So they're ready to go. Thankfully, once Joe Pag, so one knew that it was me. And we had a conversation. I said, listen, this is what they're doing. They're targeting anybody who's pro-Trump, who's a conservative. It turns out, according to those over on X, it looks like they might be targeting people who have said anything negative about Zelensky and about Ukraine. It looks like that might be what's going on here. Because there was some Ukraine non-friend list or something that went out 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I was on it because I dared say, why is he stopping elections? Why is he stopping free speech? Why is he stopping worship? So that I was now in the doghouse. So I went out there, and it took a while for them to understand that what I was saying was true. Thankfully, they knew who I was as a public figure and a guy that they know on the radio and TV, and I was able to calm everything down. And, we made an agreement. You guys get a call to my house. You got my cell phone number. You call me. You can't get me, then come. Because, again, this is what they do. It's a scare tactic to shut me up. You've noticed since then I have not shut up, so it's not going to happen. But there's no way somebody's family should be in harm's way. I just want you to think for a second if I would have grabbed my AR-15 and walked out the front door, or my pistol and walked out the front door. I would have been dead in my doorway. Dead. I mean, think about that. That's a tactic of the left. That's the tactic of those who don't like my politics. It's not okay. Not by any means. It's not something I would ever imagine doing. Because I disagree with somebody, I would just disagree with them and try to make them see the light. But that's really something. Had I taken any other action, I might have been killed at my house that night. And you start to think, maybe that's the tactic. Maybe that's the end goal they have. Maybe that's the result they want. I've seen prominent people over on X, Nick Sorter, and I think the guy's name is Gunther Eagleman. I've seen them talk about it. Alex Jones from InfoWars said one of his reporters was swatted the night before, something like that. An InfoWars reporter was actually killed in Austin recently. Now, we don't know that that's connected to this at all. It could be something else. But there's an attack right now. It's a scare tactic and a hope to actually leave people dead, I believe, from the left to the right now. Now, I'm not saying everybody on the left is doing this, but you need to shut up about Ukraine or else we're going to show up at your house at 2:35 a.m. Good news is, and before I would ever report on this, I've spoken with the Sheriff's Department at length. They have my number. They have my name. We now have a plan in action should they get a call like that again before they dispatch anybody out to my house. Now, others are not involved in this, and if you've got an emergency where I live, near where I live, you're going to have perfect service. They're going to call me first. They're going to make sure that they have the right thing first. They're going to now understand this is a tactic that people are using to try to cause me harm somehow, and sadly, as collateral damage, my family. And that's not okay. So I made the conscious decision to not talk about this right after it happened, to not talk about it yesterday. And now that I see this being publicized more by people over on social media, maybe there's strength in numbers and letting people know we're hip to you. And police agencies now are learning. And to that end, I texted my friend Kash Patel today. The FBI director told him what happened and suggested that possibly the FBI might want to put out some sort of notification that there are people who are under attack because of their thoughts. Okay? So I wanted to put it out there because I wanted to stay ahead of it, but not get so far ahead of it that it gave this person the oxygen and the credit. I didn't want them to go, yeah, got him. I didn't want that to happen. Like when I was a television news anchor, when we would get a call from somebody saying there's a bomb threat at whatever school, we wouldn't air that. Because if you aired it and it was just some kid trying to get tomorrow off of school, get a long weekend, then more people are going to do it. You know what I mean? So let me say this to all the bad guys out there. The police are completely hip to what you did. The only person they'll respond to is somebody in my house. They've got all of our names and all of our phone numbers. If you're anybody who's using a VoIP from very far away, which is what happened, they're not going to listen to you when it's my house. They're going to call me first, call my wife, verify what's going on, and then they will either come or not come depending on the situation. So you took your shot, almost quite literally, and you missed. And you should feel like the idiot that you are. That's not how you solve problems. How you solve problems is you break it down, you discuss it, you vote, you get people in there that you want. This is not how you do it. It's actually pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. So I wasn't going to talk about that, but I decided, and actually just was out in the hallway. My wife was like, yeah, well, why don't you mention it? Maybe it was time. I wanted to give it a couple of days to cool off, not give them the credit they sought, and also to let them know you can't do it again, because now we've got all sorts of mechanisms in place to make sure that we know what's going on at my house at 2:30 in the morning.